Hello, 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 welcome back to the Saba Show, and today we've got round 19 of the Dice Footy Championships. I am still sick, but good enough to speak a little bit, so we're going to do more of the games and less talking, so let's get into it. So first game of the round is Richmond taking on Fremantle. Fremantle probably need to pick up a victory in order to continue to stay in touch with that top 8. And, well, they're off to a brilliant start. Exactly how they could have asked for it. That doesn't really make sense, but that is exactly what they needed. Richmond, on the other side, have been absolutely shit in that first quarter. They did salvage something in the second, but still a fair way off the pace. So Fremantle have a pretty big lead at halftime. 6 goals is pretty sizable, and Richmond, well, they are just tanking at this point. They do not want the win in any way, shape or form. Fremantle will get the W. It's just a matter of how much, and this is a huge percentage boost for them. Depending on how Richmond go in this last quarter, it is far from ideal for them. And Fremantle could potentially have a huge percentage boost on their hands here. If they had a 6-goal quarter, that would have made it extremely interesting. But regardless, they have a big win nonetheless and win by about 10 goals. Second game of the round is North Melbourne taking on Hawthorn. North Melbourne have had a really good season. Started a bit slow out of the blocks, but they are, they've been pretty sustainable with their form, if that makes any sense. Hawthorn have been in this part of the table for pretty much the whole season. They would probably want to win. I mean, it's still, salvageable this season for a lot of teams. Even if you're 13th, 14th, you're not potentially out of the finals hunt until the final few games of the season, if you're a bit far off the pace. But if you're 2 wins out from the 8, you're always in touch. North's third quarter isn't great there, 2 goals 6 for them, and then Hawthorn with 6 goals 4, so they could have a win on their hands here. 17 goals 11, and I mean, it's going to be very tough for North. They need to kick the maximum, and they do not get there. So they will be picking up their first loss in what I believe is a pretty long time, and Hawthorn could have a really big win on their hands here. But, yeah, a lot of scoring shots by them. Very unlike a side in 15th position to kick 20 goals 17. Hawks win. Next game is Sydney taking on Adelaide. Sydney, I mean, they need a win desperately. Fallen off the pace pretty, well, a lot. And Adelaide, I mean, they were out of the bottom position for about 1 week, and they slipped right back into that spot after Geelong got the victory last week. And Sydney, well, they've had they had a slow start, and then flipped the script a little bit, kicked a bit accurately, and that's going to help their prospects of winning. The Crows are up at halftime though, so that could be very interesting come the final siren. Sydney 3 goals 5 in the third quarter. The Crows 4 goals 3 for them. So this is going to be really interesting in the closing stages of this game, and Sydney kick a pretty good score in that final quarter. So it's anyone's game really. Make sure I don't screw up the scores, especially because this is a tight contest, and the Crows are going to get the win. Amazingly enough, they're going to get the W. They win by 2 goals, and the Swans slump to another loss. Strong win by the Crows there last game, and now we move on to another contest which consists of one of the bottom ranked sides in Geelong. Could they create a similar upset, a similar result? We will see right here. 3 goals 5 for them in the opening quarter. So, they are within range of potentially creating an upset, but there is a long way to go in this game. Port Adelaide have been slipping a little in the last few games. They were 3rd for a long time, and, last couple of weeks they've picked up a few losses, and that has sent them to the bottom, or the very bottom of the top 8. So, they desperately need a win to ensure that they, aren't in jeopardy of falling out and potentially losing touch. The Cats, I mean, they could have been in front if it wasn't for some, pretty bad goal kicking, but we'll see what the last quarter is in store, and the Power eliminate any chance of Geelong getting a victory here. They will go back to the bottom of the table. They kick the maximum, the Power, and Geelong will have to settle for, a consolation prize. And they had a good game, I guess, but still they're going to lose by 6 goals. Next up is the Q Clash. Brisbane taking on Gold Coast. This is a pretty big game for both sides. Obviously want to consolidate their spot inside the top 8. We've seen a lot of movement this season, pretty much all over the ladder. So, you really want to pick up as many wins, get as much percentage as you can in order to, consolidate those spots, that you want, which is, those top 8 spots. And a win would go, an absolute mile to helping that cause. Gold Coast are, pretty much in control of this game. Brisbane have been inaccurate as hell, and the Suns will lead at 3/4 time. They could put this game to bed if they had a bigger third quarter, but they will be pretty content with how it's going so far, and Brisbane will not get a score that will suffice and give them any chance of winning. They've already lost it, and Gold Coast haven't even rolled yet, and even though it was far from convincing that last quarter, Gold Coast win anyway. So the Bulldogs have Melbourne. Here we go. The Bulldogs begin with 5 goals won. They are top of the table and enjoying life. The D's, I can't get a grasp on their season because, they've been up there, then they slipped out of the top 8, then realised that, they'd been playing a bit mediocre, and then decided to pick up the form. The Bulldogs have just gotten off to an absolute flyer here. Really good goal kicking. And the D's, 3 goals won for them in that quarter, so they have remained in touch. However, the Bulldogs, look at this accuracy. Unbelievable stuff by them. 17 goals for in 3 quarters. You cannot complain from, any aspect, any perspective, if that makes any sense. The D's, still are somewhat in the game. They're down by about 27, but the Bulldogs, I think, have put this game to bed unless the D's kick the absolute maximum here. 6 goals, 6 to win. Here we go. And unfortunately, the odds of that happening were extremely low. 0 to none. And the Bulldogs win. We've got Carlton taking on GWS. And amazingly enough, these two sides aren't far apart on the table. But both sides have had some differing pathways this season. The Blues have been, somewhat around the top 8. And the Giants really haven't ventured outside the bottom 5. But the Blues, have significantly dropped off in the last few weeks. Were in there about 7th or 6th place earlier on. The Giants aren't really doing themselves any favours to create an upset. Could you call it an upset? Probably not, given the standings as I've just mentioned. But the Blues, it doesn't seem like they have much urgency about them to, get back in that tussle for the top 8. And the Giants have taken advantage and been that side that have made the jump in this game. However, the Blues do give themselves a chance here. The Giants, they need to kick less than 2 goals to lose this game. If there's one side that'll do it, it's them. But they actually go against the tide and pick up the victory. So the Blues, their season goes from bad to worse, and the Giants make improvement. Second last game, it is Collingwood taking on Essendon. Obviously, it's the Anzac Day game, but not on Anzac Day. Obviously, much later fixture this season as well. On top of the traditional Anzac Day fixture. I don't know what I'm really doing. I'm going on a tangent talking about absolutely nothing with no substance. However, the Bulldogs aren't playing. What am I talking about? The Pies kicked 2 goals to in that quarter. And the Bombers, they've had a pretty iffy season as well. Both teams need a win. It is essentially a 6 or an 8-point fixture, should I say, given both these sides are pretty close to each other on the ladder. And, they are in contention for the top 8. So every win is valuable, especially at this time of year. It looks like the Pies are poised to win the game. However, they do not put the game to bed in that quarter. And the Bombers will need to kick at least 6 goals, and they kick 4. So they're going to fall short. They kick 11 goals, 13, and lose by only 8. But nonetheless, still a loss. Last game of the round, it's West Coast taking on St Kilda at home. And West Coast, absolutely came out of nowhere a few weeks ago. And St Kilda, well, they were outside the top 8 for quite a while as well. And they have since, been able to hold a place. So, fair play to them. This is a big game for both sides as well. 1 goal 5 in the quarter for St Kilda. So they have had a really atrocious start to this game. And the Eagles, just like that, are up by 40 3 points. Third quarter, I mean, they could have absolutely destroyed the Saints in this game had it not been for a pretty, mediocre third quarter by their standards for a top 4 side. And the Saints, well, I would have argued that they had a chance to, potentially steal the game, but that third quarter is an absolute letdown. And while the Eagles will win, the St Kilda Saints will lose, and it's just a matter of how much. The Saints had a pretty poor game. They kicked in accurately, they were punished, and they deserved the loss. West Coast win. Alright, so these are the results after round 19, and there is the ladder as well. You can see the Crows, once again, are off the bottom of the ladder after they picked up a win. The Swans have a very unfriendly percentage, so they have dipped to 15th place after Hawthorn and GWS also picked up wins. And Carlton and Essendon are really, at risk of falling into that bottom 4 section of the table as well. Fremantle entered the 8 after they flogged Richmond, and they are in there on percentage after they, sustained, I think, 4 percentage points. And also Gold Coast back into the top 4 after they picked up a win and some other teams below them dropped points. So there you have it. Brisbane also, could fall from that mantle of second place because West Coast are breathing right down their neck, given they, also dropped 4 points against the Suns. So there you have it. Those are the results. Race to the finals is really heating up. Obviously a lot of places up for grabs. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. If you enjoyed this one, drop a like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed this one. You know the deal. Thursday, every single week, this is the video. So thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.